Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be ranking the top 10 weapons in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. You can do me a quick favor and hit that like button if you do enjoy the video. I've already timestamped all the different best class setups, so if you just want to go ahead and take screenshots, that's cool. But if you can do me that favor, hit that like button, I really appreciate it. If you want to find your way back to the channel because you're looking to improve, make sure you do hit that red subscribe button, turning it to gray with notifications on by ringing that bell. So one of the funniest things when I do these types of videos is people will jump in and try to give their opinion, and that's perfectly fine. I want you to fill the comment section with all of your different opinions because I do appreciate your comments. So obviously when I make this list, I'm going to base certain things on my opinion and my perspective, my playstyle, and different variables like that. And there's certain things in the game that are just not definitive, and then it has to be opinion based. So what I mean by that is we're not going to agree on all of these different rankings. Obviously we're going to have a little bit different opinions. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first weapon on this list at the number 10 spot, which is the Titan LMG. And the best class setup for the Titan is going to be Reflex, Extended Mags, FMJ, and Quick Draw. And you can see I'm running ComSec, Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, and Dead Silence. But there's a lot of things you can swap out. Obviously, you can run a Stim Shot, Acoustic Sensor, maybe get rid of Flak Jacket and run Scavenger, run Dexterity instead of Gung Ho, run Ghost instead of Dead Silence, or completely drop Dead Silence and the Optic and maybe put on a fourth attachment. There's a lot of different ways you can go. This is just going to be the blueprint as far as what I would use on the Titan LMG. And overall, this one's kind of fallen down on the list. It used to rank in the top 5 in my opinion, but the reason why it's come down so far is just not a lot of people are using it. I know there's some people say that people are using it every match. When I do run into a Titan, it's pretty annoying because they can shoot through cover, especially if they run double FMJ. It is an issue on certain maps where pretty much they're just going to be able to fire at you and kill you regardless of where you're at on the map. They can just pre-fire and spam through a ton of different options, especially on Nuketown. It's a huge issue. You can even shoot through the different trains that's sitting in the middle, literally through the entire train with Outrider. You can see where they're at and literally shoot through. So it's kind of a broken gun because of FMJ2, but I think without that attachment, it becomes still a very usable gun if you know how to use it. And that's going to bring us to the second weapon on the list, taking up that number 9 spot, and that is the Daemon 3XB. And the best class setup for the Daemon 3XB is going to be High Caliber 2, Rapid Fire, along with a hybrid mags. And you can also see I'm running the ComSec device, Flak Jacket, and Gung Ho. And what's funny about the Daemon is right when it came out, it wasn't all that great. It was kind of an above average SMG, but nothing special. You could take engagements at range. Then they went ahead and buffed it. They took it way too far, and I pretty much guaranteed that it would get a nerf. It got nerfed, and then it ended up getting nerfed again. That's how good it was. At one point, it was definitely overpowered and needed a nerf, and now it's kind of been reverted back to its original state, which wasn't all that great, but it was still decent for an SMG, especially can challenge people at range. Now where it sits now, I have it at the 9th spot, whereas before it was the number 1 SMG and possibly number 1 weapon in the entire game. So let me know down in the comment section, do you think they nerfed it a little bit too far? Do you think it's still very usable? Personally, I think it still melts at that point blank range, but it lost a lot of that effectiveness it had at that medium to long range. But let me know down in the comments section below. And the next weapon we'll go ahead and talk about is the Grav. It takes the 8th place spot on this list, and the best class setup for the Grav is going to be Grip, Long Barrel, Quick Draw, and FMJ. And then you can see I'm running ComSec, Flak Jacket, as well as Gung Ho. The main attachment that is 100% necessary on this weapon is Long Barrel. Since this is a 4 attachment setup, you can go ahead and drop FMJ and equip an Optic and Dead Silence, or maybe go ahead and go with Dexterity or Scavenger. And I'm actually a huge fan of this weapon. I tend to use it quite often, even though I don't really think it's overpowered in any way. I think it is laser accurate, has a long 4-shot kill range, but the biggest drawback for me is it requires a lot of attachments. Normally I like to have balanced class setups with 3 or 4 attachments and 3 or 4 perks. It really kind of just depends on how I feel, but more often than not, I like a balanced class setup instead of a perk heavy or an attachment heavy class setup. And the main reason for that is because the perks add a lot of value to a class setup, and so do attachments. So if you dedicate too many of your pick 10 to attachments, then you're going to kind of put yourself in a bad spot, not able to run Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, Dead Silence, or whatever other perks you want to use. If you go too perk heavy, then the gun's not going to be that effective. So it's kind of one of those trade-offs that kind of has an even balance, right around 3 or 4 attachments and 3 or 4 perks. And that's going to go ahead and transition us to the 7th ranked weapon on the list, and that is going to be this Switchblade X9. And it's still the same class setup, Rapid Fire 1, Rapid Fire 2 with hybrid mags, and my personal go-to is Flak Jacket, Dead Silence, and Ghost. And if you want to go ahead and drop Flak Jacket, Dexterity is a good option if you kind of want to get that run and gun action going. Obviously, I'm going to be running Crash, so I don't need to really worry about Scavenger, and that's pretty much one of my favorite class setups because a lot of times when you go against people that are pretty decent, what they tend to do is call in a bunch of UAVs, and I can assign a pick 10 slot to a launcher or one of the other things that can shoot down a UAV, but instead of having to worry about that, I just put on Ghost, have to carry my bad teammates. What I'm going to do is run around the map, keep my pace going, and be able to get those flanks in. And I know there's a lot of people that do not think Ghost is all that good, but if you're moving, running, and gunning, Ghost is amazing. Allows you to get optimal flanks at the right times, because more often than not, good players are going to be looking at the minimap, which all of us should be doing, and since they're looking for that, you can kind of get around, get that flank, get a couple easy kills, and start to streak up on your own, and they'll never know where you're at on the minimap. And I obviously know that when you fire your weapon, you're going to pop up on the minimap. I'm not really concerned about that because for the most part, people can hear the bullets. When you're actually running and gunning, staying stealthy off the minimap, off the acoustic sensor, you're able to close those distances and take advantage of the weapon's real power, which is that point blank range. And this weapon still ranks pretty high on the list, even though it was nerfed, because it's kind of halfway between where it originally was, which was pretty decent, and where they buffed it, which was kind of overpowered. And that's going to bring us to the 6th ranked weapon on this list, and that is the Saug 9mm. And the best class set for the Saug is going to be stock, fast mags, quick draw, along with ComSec, Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, and Dexterity. I just feel as though with that change to hit scan, it made it so this gun feels like it melts a lot more. The bullets register a little bit more effectively than they used to, and that is enough to push it up the list. And I actually have a lot of fun with this weapon. You can really run and gun with it, especially with this class setup. You can just kind of be on full-on sprint mode. So if I'm just trying to level up and get XP and move around the map, maybe I'm playing kill confirmed, I want to get all those tags, get the score really quick, this is going to be my go-to class setup because you just move around so dang quickly. The only really downside is if I'm not running Dead Silence and someone is running acoustic sensor, it kind of puts you at a disadvantage if you're not able to use that movement, because the strafing speed is still very good. Even with just stock 1, you just got to make sure that you're maximizing that in pretty much every gunfight. So we're kind of at the halfway point of the list. I will throw out a couple honorable mentions. One is the Cordite. The Cordite is an absolute beast, but it kind of ends up at like that number 11 spot if I'm being honest. I think it's good, but just not quite as good as the SMGs on this list. And the other honorable mention is the Stingray with the Operator mod. I currently do not have access to the weapon, so I can't really rank it, but I know that that thing with the Operator mod is definitely broken. Even if I'm running Flak Jacket, people can one-shot you at point-blank range, which makes the time to kill too fast, in my opinion, based off the way the game has structured the time to kill. That's going to bring us to the 5th ranked weapon on this list, and that is the Maddox RFB. The best class setup for the Maddox is ELO, Quick Draw 1, Quick Draw 2, along with stock. And you can see I'm running ComSec, Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, as well as Dead Silent. And the Maddox is actually pretty interesting because a lot of times people use it as an SMG, which is one of the right ways to use it because it is so effective at those ranges. The mobility and the quick time to kill with that rate of fire makes it very effective at point blank range. Once you get a little bit more to medium long range, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle with it, because a while back when they went ahead and nerfed the accuracy and made it have more recoil, which basically increased the skill gap because good players will still maximize this weapon. And that's going to go ahead and bring us to the Peacekeeper, which is the 4th ranked weapon on my list. Some people are calling it pay to win. I completely disagree with that. The best class setup for the Peacekeeper is ELO, hybrid mags, stock, rapid fire, and you can see I'm still running ComSec, Flak Jacket, Dexterity, as well as Dead Silence. So let's go ahead and talk about this pay to win aspect. There's 2 parts to pay to win. One is obviously behind a paywall, which it is through reserves, and then the other aspect that it is head and shoulders above everything in the entire game, which makes it literally pay to win. Now, to be honest, I'm a huge fan of the Peacekeeper. I've been a fan of the Peacekeeper all the way since Black Ops 2, once it was first introduced as the first ever DLC weapon. That being said, I'm obviously not saying the Peacekeeper sucks, because that's not the case. It is the 4th ranked weapon on my list for a reason, because it is very good, but it is definitely not overpowered. And that's going to go ahead and bring us to the 3rd ranked weapon on this list, and that is the KN57 with an ELO sight, hybrid mags, rapid fire, as well as stock. This is obviously a 3 attachment setup with an optic, but if you want to go a different route and maybe go with 4 attachments because the iron sights are very clean, you can easily drop the optic. And one of the perks, and with those 2 remaining pick 10 slots, you can either go ahead and go with suppressor, which is very good on the KN, or maybe go with quick draw, which was also buffed a while back. And I think the reason I rank this one so high is because rapid fire brings down that time to kill to make it very competitive with a lot of weapons in the game. One of its deficiencies, it doesn't have FMJ, but the time to kill is still pretty good even without FMJ, especially going against body armor users. You got the stock, so you get the faster strafing speed. You can equip quick draw. You can equip with suppressor. So overall, it is a very good weapon with a ton of different options as far as best class setup goes. So let me know in the comment section below, do you run a suppressor or do you not run a suppressor on your KN57 best class setup? The number 2 ranked weapon on the list is going to be the Auger DMR with an optic, high cal 1, high cal 2, and FMJ. You can also see that I'm running ComSec, Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, as well as Ghost. Don't mind the infrared optic. This was a class setup that I was kind of running with when I was doing long shots. I do normally run without that particular optic and maybe Dead Silence instead of Ghost. But for this specific gameplay, this is the exact class setup I'm using. And I know there's a lot of people that will disagree with the Auger DMR at that number 2 spot, but I really got to tell you, the time to kill is just broken. It's not fair that you can 2-tap people in the chest or the head at pretty much any range on any map. So even if you come around the corner and you're using an SMG that's supposed to melt at point blank range, you get 2-tap with the Auger DMR, you're done. And the only real thing they can do to nerf this weapon is to slow down the rate of fire back to what it was before that buff. And that's going to bring us to one of the most broken weapons in the entire game. It's way too easy to use. It is an absolute melt machine, and it has been since launch. It's only pretty much been buffed over time, and that is the Rampart 17 with reflex sight, high caliber 1, high caliber 2, as well as FMJ. You can see I'm running ComSec, Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, as well as Dead Silence. And I know there's people that argue, but it doesn't have stock. Who cares it doesn't have stock? Kills you in 3 shots, which brings the time to kill right around 200 milliseconds, which is way too fast in this particular game. If it was in a normal Call of Duty, I'd say, hey, you know what? Perfectly balanced. But this is Black Ops 4 we're talking about, where the average time to kill is around 350 to 400 milliseconds, depending on what weapon we're talking about. So literally the Rampart could kill you twice before the other gun could kill you once, which just doesn't scream balance to me. I think they can nerf this weapon by modifying the accuracy, making it way harder to control the recoil, and that would be enough for me. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please remember to hit that like button, and please help me get this video over 1,000 likes. And if you like to find your way back because you like the content, please remember to hit that red subscribe button, turning it to gray with notifications on by ringing that bell. I do appreciate your support. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.